Welcome to Filmy Ladies. We are back to our Superstar series, and today is Kangana Ranaut, who might be the most complicated of the people we've talked about so far for this series, honestly, because first of all, acting wise, or like stardom wise, do I really feel she's a superstar? I don't know. There were certainly moments where I would have said that, but I think those moments are gone. And then she says her opinion a lot, and her opinions have not won her a whole lot of friends in terms of film work. So it's very hard to know what to do with her. Even
Yeah.
I rewatched two films and watched a third that I hadn't seen yet. Pitu has seen two films. So we'll have five things to bring to the table. Plus, we've done an episode where we spoke about Queen, which I will link in the show notes on YouTube. How are you feeling about Superstar, yes or no, before we dig into the films?
So I remember ages and ages ago, like almost 2.5 years ago, when we decided we wanted to do a superstar series. And in Google Drive, we wrote down the names of like superstars. And at that time, I very much thought of Kangna as like a bona fide superstar, right? But now I think I kind of put her in the Karishma Kapoor and Anushka Sharma category, where I think some people blaze really bright for a while, and so they're really good at that sprint, but I'm not sure they're made for the marathon, and
Mm.
I'm not sure they can sustain that stardom. And Bollywood is full of people like that, right? Like, believe it or not, there was a time that Chunky Pandey was considered a really big star,
Right.
like Chunky Pandey. Um, or Rahul Roy after Ashiki was being dubbed like the next big thing, right? So, I mean, obviously Kangna is not in their league. She's done a lot more than they have, and she's far more talented than either of those men were. But I think given how little work she's doing lately, and it doesn't seem like she's going to be doing a lot more work, I think her star certainly seems to have faded. And I don't think that whatever amount of work she's done necessarily categorizes her as a superstar anymore. So I would kind of put her in that Karishma Anushka category where I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I consider this person a superstar.
I
Yeah.
do think she thinks she's a superstar.
Oh, for sure. She's the number one. How dare you, Beth?
And there's something to that, like because she also produces and co-directs, if I recall, maybe
Yeah.
directs full on, like
Does
Manikarnika,
all
I
the
believe
things.
she at least partially directed, if I remember. So she's, there's more and more women do produce, obviously, but that's not something everyone has done during their prime years. So there's
Right.
that, like Anushka,
Hmm.
and I do kind of there are ways in which I salute her for that, right? Like
Yeah.
make your own projects. I was just thinking about like she has taken on biopics on Jaya Lalita and Indira Gandhi, like
Yeah.
that takes a certain amount of gravitas. I wanted to watch both of those for this. I did
Yeah.
not get to either of them, so
Right.
I failed on that front. But in 2014 when Queen came out, like she seemed unstoppable there. Like she was the thing.
Hmm.
And one of the films I rewatched was also getting, so one of them is Tanu Weds Manu Returns, which, by the way, the Wikipedia entry for this film is hilarious. Someone has gone through and quoted every review basically ever that was published and like made this humongous entry for it, which includes legacy. I'm like, I'm not sure this film has a
Oh,
legacy. I think
right.
that's overstating it. But, there was a lot of praise for her performance in that as a dual role. Um, but now I think you can ignore her if you want to,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And I don't know if it's been long enough to say there's a legacy, but I do wonder if the conversation around nepotism now would be different if she hadn't been one of the earlier, not the
Right.
earliest, but an earlier vocal opponent of nepotism in Bollywood, or at least
Yeah.
calling it out. So and that's not insignificant, but it is something that
Hmm.
probably has cost her quite a bit of work, as
Yeah.
have some of her political opinions, I think. So
Hmm.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with her. So, uh, other than, so what are the films that you're going to talk about today, and what are some of the others of hers that you've seen?
So the two movies I wanted to watch for her are first time watches for me. One is Rangoon, that is directed by Vishal Bharadwaj, and her co-stars are Shahid and Saif, both of whom I enjoy, and I love Vishal Bharadwaj. So I was like, okay, here's a good opportunity to for me to finish my Vishal Bharadwaj list, and it's like irrespective of whether I like her or not, I feel like Vishal Bharadwaj won't let me down. And I do like Shahid and Saif, and they usually are consistently good actors. So I was like, okay, at least I have faith in this
Yeah.
casting, if
Yeah.
nothing else. Um, and then the other movie I watched was Raz 2, because I am a sucker for horror and I have seen Raz. And I was like, you know what? Even if it's stupid, I still enjoy a good horror movie. And she is cast with Adhyan Suman, who has the personality of a biscuit. Um, he's not even very tasty. I mean, it's not even a tasty biscuit. It's just a very sad biscuit. There's also Imran Hashmi in it, who looks like he has never taken a shower in his life or brushed his hair or brushed his teeth. Every time he came on screen, I was like, you are very grimy, sir. Do you not have hot water? Hygiene questions. But that was like, it was like an entertaining movie for me to watch. So I actually had a good time with both of these films. Have you seen either? I feel like you've seen Rangoon.
I have seen
You,
Rangoon, but I have not
okay.
seen Raz. Yeah.
So Rangoon is strange. It is a very inconsistent movie with a lot of tonal shifts,
Mm.
but I weirdly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Having said that, I would not watch it again, and I would not go around telling people to watch it either.
Mm.
It is definitely the weakest of the Vishal Bharadwaj movies I've seen.
Wow.
But I love the idea of it.
Yeah.
And I just feel like maybe the execution could have been better. I think it could have been written better, edited better, but it was actually kind of a fun movie to watch. So it's a very interesting story. I don't think I've encountered a story like this quite yet. So props for that, at least. It's set during World War II. And the reason it's called Rangoon is because, as many people might know, Indians who were fighting in the British Army were sent to the Burma front to fight against the Japanese, my maternal grandfather being one of them.
Mm.
And the fight was fought on that front. That's where a lot of Indian people lost their lives. That's where a lot of Indian graves are. And in this movie, she plays this actress who is very much modeled on like Fearless Nadia.
Yeah.
So she's this hunter wali, and she has this catchphrase which is hysterical. Like, things happen, she does her own stunts, and then she says, "Bloody hell!" And in the cinema
Right.
theater, all the audiences love that. They're like, "Bloody hell!" It was so funny. And she does all of her stunts, and she is having an affair with this married film producer, ex Bollywood star, whose name is Rusi Billy Moria, and he is played by Saif Ali Khan. And he is such a shady, controlling, awful man.
Mm.
And Seth just plays him brilliantly well. I mean, Seth was born to play that role. He is so good, but he's also so shady, and I hate him so much. So she's having an affair with him. It sounds very much like he groomed her, because she talks about how she was discovered at Juhu Chowpatty. She was doing tightrope walking and stuff. And you see these kids, right? You do see these kids in
Yeah.
India doing all of these like tricks and things like that. And she was only 10 years old, and he plucked her from there and groomed her, made her a star. And also they're having an affair. And so I was like, this is very, very questionable sounding. Her mother sold her to him for like a lot of money, which she's very proud of, by the way. So it very much sounds like this, like very questionable, like Stockholm syndrome sort of thing. She's very grateful to him for that, by the way. And she harbors dreams of being the next Mrs. Villamoria, which his controlling and old money grandfather will never allow. His grandfather will never allow him to divorce his like lawfully wedded Parsi wife, who is the mother of his children. So these dreams that this heroine called Julia has, they're never going to materialize. We know this. He doesn't. And so she is sent to the front to entertain soldiers. This is because Rusi Billy Moria needs to be in the favors of the British, because they're the only ones who can supply him stock, like a film. And so she's sent over there. She doesn't even know. She wakes up to the news on the newspaper because she doesn't want to go. And the soldier who is tasked with like providing her security is actually Shahid Kapoor. And he is a covert operative, because he actually is like a double agent. Like, he works for the Azad Hind Sena, which was founded by Subhash Chandra Bose, which also my grandfather wanted to join. So I was like, oh my God, maybe Shahid Kapoor grandfather. And so it's this like, and then of course they fall in love. This is very expected. But it's just kind of like a very interesting story, because I feel like even when Bollywood makes like war historicals and stuff, they never talk about the Indians who fought in World War II, and they never talk about how difficult it was. Like, what I found most interesting in this movie, being the child of an army family, is the conversations that my grandparents' generation had
Mm,
about, if you are fighting in the British Army, are you a traitor? Or
right.
is this the only way you can get freedom? Like, my grandfather vacillated between wanting to join Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's army. He was very much of the opinion that the Gandhian way of freedom was not going to work. My
Mm,
grandfather thought that was bullshit. So he was like, either I'm going to align myself with Subhash Chandra Bose, or I'm going to fight in the British Army, because the British had promised that if they won, if the Allied forces won, then India would have her independence. So he was like, fine, I'll join forces with you because we'll get our independence one way or the other. And there were factions that disagreed with
mhm.
each other despite being Indian, right? So I have never had that conversation with an Indian person outside of my family.
Mm,
Because in my family, we've had so many people who belong to so many different factions. And I had other grandparent generation people who were actual freedom fighters. And my husband's grandfather was sent to Kalapani. He was sent to
mm,
Andaman Nicobar. He was like literally imprisoned for like 10 years because he was like
wow.
a legit freedom fighter, right? So I love the fact that this movie tried to bring that story to the forefront, that even when Indian
Mm,
people wanted freedom, it wasn't just a we want the British to leave. There was a lot of conversation and dialogue and thinking happening about it. And not everyone agreed on the modes and means. They just all agreed that they wanted freedom, but there was a lot
mm,
of like so that was very interesting. So kudos for that. I think Shahid Kapoor was awesome. He was so grumpy in this movie, but I love that. First of all, he's wearing a uniform, which, as we know, is catnip for me, but also he's a grumpy one, and I was like, yes, this is winning. So I love that. And Kangana is amazing in this movie.
yeah.
She is, I cannot imagine anyone else doing this role. For a second, I
Mm,
was like, who else would I cast? And I feel like young Karina could have done it well too,
mm,
because she has that same like spark and that sprightliness about her, and just this kind of like effervescent energy. And I can imagine her like dangling from a chandelier and doing a backflip and shooting someone. Like, she has that kind of panache and style. But really, this role was made for Kangna, and I think she does it really well. She is this like swashbuckling person on screen, but in her personal life, she's so meek and submissive to this rich producer who has clearly groomed her and whom she's so beholden to. And it's so heartbreaking to watch that. And then when she's with the soldier, when she's with Shahid Kapoor, you almost see like her true personality come out. Like, she has some of that like heroine giri and, that petulance and like, what do you mean there's no food? What do you mean we're in the jungle? Like, she does that, but you can also see shades of who she really is. And there's this one scene that my heart kind of skipped a beat. They're
mm,
in the rain, and she's this very filmy character, right? Because she is a starlet. And at one point, she says to Shahid Kapoor, like, do you want to dance with me? And he's like, sure. And then he comes closer to her, and then she says, Main achhoot hoon. I'm an untouchable. And he backs off with alarm and he
oh,
stares at her. And I was like, no. But then he goes, that's okay. And then he still dances with her. And I was like, oh, I love you. But even that was like, the fact that like she says that, and I was so terrified for her, like, is he going to reject her? And he didn't. And I was
yeah.
like, okay. It was, the moments between her and Shahid are done so beautifully.
Mm,
They oddly enough had a chemistry, which I never thought they would, because they seem so different, but there's this weird tension between them, but they're kind of cool to watch. And she's great with Seth as well. Ugh, he does this thing where he's so patronizing. He says things like, come here, kiddo. He calls her kiddo, and he like pats his lap for her to sit on. I'm like, ugh, I wish she would just like drown you or something, throttle you. Um, but it's a fun movie to watch. The songs are god awful. Generally, I assume Vishal Bharadwaj's movies will have a great soundtrack. Like Omkara, for example, has every song in that movie is a banger. This movie does not have one single hummable song. I don't know if Kangna has done her stunts herself, but they were very entertaining to watch. Some of the stunts that Saif does, where he's running on a train in his previous life as a film star, were also entertaining to watch. It's a fun movie. I can 100% see why this movie bombed at the box office, though, because I don't know how they marketed it. And somehow the combination of Kangna, Saif, and Shahid just sounds weird to me. And it's like, is this a war movie? Is this a love triangle? Is this a meta commentary on Bollywood? I don't know. I think there was a lot of mixed messages in this film, and that's why it didn't do well. But it's a fun one-time movie to watch, and I thought Kangna was amazing in it. The scenes where she's really sad, the scenes where she's heartbroken, the scenes where she's really confused about what's going to happen to her, about her standing in life and things like that, because it's very important to her to get legitimacy in society as like Mrs. Billamoria. I just thought all of that was really beautifully done. And I think watching that movie, I was like, yeah, I can see why she became the star she did, because she has talent, man. So yeah. What were your thoughts on Rangoon when you watched it?
I remember feeling more or less as you did that this is fascinating that this story is out there. I feel like, I mean, so my World War II media is obviously very American based, and Rangoon, Burma are not places. The Eastern Front is not talked about very much other than
Mm-hmm.
Japan, obviously. So this is sort of in between in a way that doesn't make our attention a ton in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
but even in the Indian popular media I
It
consume, it
does.
doesn't come up terribly
Mm-hmm.
much. So I think it's such a rich idea. And I remember in Detective Bhumkesh Bakshi, for example, the starlet in there comes from Rangoon as well. And that's kind of an interesting point. It has to do with various background things that are happening in the film,
Mm-hmm.
but it just doesn't come up very much, I feel
Helen was
like.
a refugee from Burma as well.
Right, right. So I was thrilled to see this kind of
Yeah.
historical setting that I don't see very often, nor do I remember to seek it out, to be fair, but like that, it was cool to see. And I remember liking the performances and thinking it was all very stylish, but that's kind of all I remember.
Yeah. It's not really a story that stays with you, but I'm glad I watched it.
Hmm.
And she pulls off those like vintage fashions beautifully. Also, props to the British actor in this movie, because usually I feel like British actors in Hindi cinema are
I love that
terrible.
guy.
He
He's
was
in a
so
bunch of the murder
good.
mysteries I watch as like like a bad guy in
Oh,
an episode or whatever. And I'd actually just seen him, and I was looking at the screen grab you sent. I'm like, oh, that's that guy.
right.
Yeah, he's good. He's like an
But
actual actor and not just like random white dude off
right.
the street.
But his character was very interesting to me because he's portrayed as like, when the British say, oh, that person's gone native, he's like one of those, right? Like he speaks Hindi and he speaks Urdu and he loves to say Ghalib Shairi. And there was a part of me that was like, yeah, all of that is hunky dory, but you're still a servant of the Raj. You're still a servant of the crown. I don't trust you. And he portrays that dichotomy beautifully. Like there's a scene where one of his junior officers needs to like give him some sort of important information, and he's sitting with the tanpura and he's literally singing in an absolutely hideous accent. He's singing like a really beautiful like classical song, and I was like, oh my god. But then he's also completely savage and cold-blooded
Mm,
and nasty. So it's amazing when he switches, it's like such a sociopathic
interesting.
performance. And
Yeah.
it's really cool because when you're watching, you're like, you're sus. I don't know what about you're sus. I don't buy this for a second, but it's all an act. And he's so phony. And I just thought that his character had layers and nuance to it that like British characters in Indian movies never do. They're
Right.
always like stock,
Yeah.
caricature-ish,
Yeah.
and he was like really interesting, and his performance was really good too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other movie I watched was Raz 2. Have you seen Raz 2?
No, I've not seen any of the Rozes.
So I'm not gonna tell horror movie buffs to run out and watch this movie. It's certainly not like one of the greats or anything like that. um there's a lot of like typical stereotypical stuff in it, like the Gregorian chants that was so popular in that era. Then there is the evil pundit, then there's the black magic, then there's a person being like possessed by stuff. Kangna gets
Nice.
a few good opportunities to do the whole like
Nice.
shrieking demonic thing with
Nice.
like her nails out and everything, and she pulls that off very well. um and then there's Imran Hashmi. He only glowers through this movie. It's 2 hours and 13 minutes of Imran Hashmi glaring at everyone. I'm like, okay, typically I like your acting and I enjoy you, but I need you to do a little bit more when you are faced with a possessed person. That is a ghost. You can't be that nonchalant. He just has the same expression where he's like, this is so boring. I'm so irritated. I would rather be at home drinking whiskey. that is a demon, my guy. You need to like show me something other than annoyance. So also please take a shower. And then Adyayan Saman tries, but oh boy.
And for
Um,
those like me who didn't know, please tell us who his father is.
Shekhar Saman.
I mean, there's Nepo Kid, and then there's like Nepo of nobody. Like, oh my God.
Except if you've ever heard a Shekhar Saman interview, you would
Well,
not say
right.
that because Shekhar Saman thinks he's bigger than Amitabh Bachchan, okay?
But we have an episode on Utsav. We know
Yes.
the wet
And I
noodle that he
remember,
is.
yes, when I was watching Utsav, I remember saying that Rekha basically is like a beautiful, just brewed like cup of chai with like adrak and chai masala and all the wonderful things in it. It smells so wonderful, and you're just going to take a sip. And then he is like that Parle G biscuit, say Shaker Saman, that you dip it and it dissolves immediately, and now you're stuck with like this granules at the
And
bottom
it
of
was
your
probably
chai. That is
stale to
him.
start with,
It was
right?
probably expired to start with. So his son has the personality of like a potato, and it's not like good potato. Like
Yeah,
it's
like
not like,
potatoes are super versatile and
yeah,
can be amazing in all cuisines,
no,
but
he's not a Hasselback potato with like sour cream and chives. Okay,
just
he's
like
not
a raw
masala aloo.
potato that
He's a raw potato with like the eyes on it.
little
Which
green
is
too.
not his fault. And I know I'm being mean, but it's like,
Well,
my dude. I don't understand why these people don't go and get careers that they could
I
potentially
know.
shine at. Like, you could be an accountant. I don't know.
I
You
feel like
could
that's
be,
always the career we say. We're like, go be an accountant. Sorry, accountants.
meanwhile, I would fail any and every accountancy
Oh yeah.
exam. So I don't know
Yeah,
why
yeah,
I
yeah,
say
yeah, yeah.
this.
Yeah.
But like, go be a bank teller. I don't
Yeah.
know what to tell you. You don't have to be an actor
No.
just because your
No, you
dad is
don't.
Shekhar Suman or whatever. Anyway, he's terrible. Imran Hashmi, who usually I enjoy very much, is terrible. It's a Mohit Sori directorial. I did not expect it to be particularly good. It's not. The music is awful. Kangana actually is the most entertaining part of this
I
movie
can
because
believe
when
that.
she's
Yeah.
being this like possessed person, she does a really good job. Now, is she Urmila Matondkar in any of Urmila Matondkar's horror movies? No, she's not
No.
that good, but she's still good. But she's also hampered by this production that she's in. It's atmospheric, it's spooky, it's eerie. I did not lose any sleep watching it. I watched it and I slept like a baby because it was not scary to me at all. But it was entertaining, and I was entertained at least by the C grade horror aspect of it.
Mm.
So there's that. And she showed that she can do horror well. She actually pulls off the I am possessed and everyone is gaslighting me thing really well. And I feel like that probably comes very naturally to her, because I feel like in real life, when she was making all of the comments about like nepotism and stuff like that, I feel like the entire industry gaslit her. So she was probably pulling from some of her real life
Mm.
experiences in this movie. But yeah, Rastu enjoyable, Rangoon enjoyable. She's great. The movies themselves are okay. What about your movies?
So I sort of not on purpose exactly, but I did choose things for which she won national awards.
Ah,
So
okay.
I rewatched Fashion, a thing I swore I would never do, but I did it. You're welcome. Now no one else has to. And of course, I had recently spoken about Queen, so I didn't rewatch that. And then Tanu Weds Manu Returns, for which she also got a national award. And then
Really? Oh,
Punga, which is from 2020, a film I did not even remember existed. And she got a national award for that too. So
wow. Okay.
I don't know how the national awards are chosen exactly, but
Yeah.
one begins to wonder. Let's start with the obvious low light. Fashion is one of the worst Hindi films I have ever seen. The fact that anyone got any awards for it at all is an embarrassment. If you go back and watch that film, even if you liked it at the time, I think you will be fairly horrified now. A good 18 years later, so it's been a while, but it's repetitive, it's facile, it is loud and screechy. It is um this is a criticism I have often about films set in the fashion world, as well as some
Mm.
others. I don't think anyone involved with this has any idea what the fashion industry is like at all.
Oh, by the way, she's a fashion model in Raz 2 also. So
Of
there are
course.
many scenes of her walking up and down the ramp.
Yeah, I mean, sure. The clothes in this. Now, am I a fashion expert for India in 2008? I'm not, but you might be actually. So, but just some of the things that they're saying designers have made are just and like we're old enough. We were there in some
Right.
ways. Like we were adults when this was happening, so we can like it's just laughable. Like some of them get better as it goes on, but also, and this has nothing to do with Kangana. This is another of those films where we have someone who says they're wildly ambitious to do a certain thing, but it's clear right away that they actually know nothing about the thing about which they say they are so passionate and ambitious. And
Okay.
Google did exist in 2008. So Priyanka's character, is shows up in Mumbai to be a model, and then like she's shocked when she does a lingerie shoot. She like doesn't want to take any of her outer layers off and seems to flinch every time anyone touches her. I'm like, what did you think you were going to do?
Right.
Like it's just the ignorance in this movie is just shocking. There's a lot of very bad gay stereotypes. Like, oh, this
Mhm.
movie is a wreck. Please do not rewatch it. Although you could make a good drinking game out of it, and
Right.
it does give us the second best English dialogue from any Hindi film that I've ever seen, which is "I am the freaking face of panache."
Ooh,
Remember that
nice.
one when Priyanka is on her
Yes.
downward spiral? Anyway, so Kangana in this movie, if you haven't seen it, is a excuse me, is kind of the reigning diva model, and Priyanka is out to dethrone her. Excuse me.
So it's
Um,
like Battle of the Queens. I've only seen it the one time when it came out, so I don't remember a whole lot
yeah.
about it.
Battle of the Queens. Kangen is a bad girl. She smokes. She has a bad boyfriend or multiple boyfriends. She does drugs. She's always late. She's disrespectful, like all that kind of stuff. So she really gets the massive downward spiral.
Mm.
And spoiler alert, dies at the end of the film. But she's also, I think, kind of the sacrifice so that Priyanka can like really learn that hard lesson and pull herself around. Um, and she just like there's just how did anyone award any of this? Like it is truly upsetting that this won awards given I don't even know what else was out that year, but it would have been better than
Right.
this. So like it's just so but there is sometimes that thing about being like de-glam, right? Like so she's not de-glam in that she looks bad, but she's like snorting coke and implied to be sleeping around and screeching and being kind of knocked partway down the stairs by a man and whatever else you're like, I guess we award that. Like, I don't know. And the character is not her fault, obviously,
Right.
but I don't think there's anything noteworthy about her performance in this. I really don't. Like,
Okay.
she chose to do it. There's
Right.
that. I can imagine a lot of people would not have done it,
Right.
but that award worthy,
No.
I don't know. So then I moved on to Tanu Weds Manu Returns, which is a movie I recall being quite beloved when it came out. And again, it's not
Mm.
something I hear people talking about now, but and she plays a dual role where she is, Tanu from the original, who is extremely temperamental and snotty, very diva.
Mm.
She has married Madhavan. That's a weird pair. I don't
That's
know about that. Because he, in this role at least, is just again almost potato from
yeah.
what I can see. Um, they are married in England. The film opens with them going to marriage counseling and like her shrieking and him
Yeah.
being like, "Ugh." And they split up. They both go back to India. They to get a divorce. And he falls in love with her look-alike, which is the stupidest plot device ever.
Is the lookalike a Haryanvi athlete?
Yes.
Okay, so some things are coming to mind now because I did see Tanuved Manu too when it came out.
Yeah.
Does she have buck teeth?
Yeah.
And she has like a
Or she has like stuff in
tiny.
her mouth. Her mouth is messed up, and I
There's
shouldn't say messed up.
something.
Her mouth is different, altered. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like
and
she's doing the Marlon Brando like cotton
yeah,
cheek or
she's doing the
something.
Vito
Yeah.
Corleone, and she has
Yeah.
like her hair is like a little pixie cut that
It's
she
a
has, which
very
I thought was
short
very
cut.
cute.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
but okay, now some things are
so
coming to
she's
mind. So she's an
not posh.
athlete.
She's not well educated at this point. She's a sports quota person into Delhi
Hmm.
University. She's, rough around the edges. She comes from a smaller town. She says at one point, like, there's a lot riding on her because she's the first girl who's been allowed to go away to go to school. And if she messes up, no one else will ever be able to go and things like that. Um, and she falls for this potato man. I don't know why. Um, I don't know if she sees him as sort of an escape from her family or what, but And based on the reviews I was kind of looking at, there's a lot of praise for her creating such two distinct characters within this
Mm,
movie. Yes, she certainly does. The writing helps, but she certainly does a lot of it. It is kind of shocking that these are the same people in a way, but that's also like, Kangana One, Tanu is wearing full tarantula fake eyelashes, so again, like makeup and wardrobe and all are doing a lot of the work here as
mhm,
well. I don't want to take away from her, but like, but this I don't know, I was watching this last night actually, and I was like, eh, like I don't get anything off of this movie, nor did I when I saw it the first time. And maybe
mm,
it's a translation issue that like the humor in the dialogues is not coming through to me through
mm,
subtitles or whatever, but I just was like so about this movie.
right.
So if you are to this point in 2026 a lover of Tanu Weds Manu Returns, I would love to hear why, because I got nothing off this
Yeah,
film.
like I remember enjoying the movie when it came out, especially
Mhm.
now the other character's name comes to mind. Is her name Datto?
Uh-huh.
So I remember that, and I remember finding her very like endearing.
Yeah.
There's something very endearing, very sweet about her that I really liked. But I don't remember a lot else about it. It's one of those movies that you watch it and you're like, yeah, okay, and then it's like it's just forgettable.
Yeah.
So I don't remember
Yeah.
much, and I don't, like you said, I don't think anyone really talks about it anymore.
Right. And so again, national award. I don't know why. I don't know why. Um, and then and then I watched Punga, which again, like I don't even remember this film being a thing. I enjoyed Punga very much. This is the story of a woman who had been a champion kabaddi athlete and had been the captain of the national women's team. And then she gets married. She continues to play, but then when she becomes pregnant, she stops playing and says she's going to come back, but she didn't. And
Mm,
now oh, I forget how old he's supposed to be. Let's say 7 or 8 year old son, like really wants her. The dad kind of explains like this is part of mom's history, and he would really like her to try to make a comeback. So
oh,
the husband cooks up this plan where she will train for a month, but obviously she won't get selected for anything, and they can like this is the ruse, and that will like put an end to it. But no, she's actually, she makes it onto various teams. She has a teammate from the past played by Richa Chadha. We love Richa Chadha in this
yeah.
house anyway, and she's like kind of helping her and all that kind of stuff. So she ends up, I won't go too much further into the plot for spoilers, but she ends up getting a spot on the Eastern Railways team, and she played for
Mm,
one of the railways before. And so she becomes a competitive kabaddi athlete again, and
okay.
she's older than the other athletes, and has this experience which they maybe do or do not respect, and things like that. So
Mm,
it hits some sports movie highlights or kind of notes that you expect, but I was reading some reviews and I agree that I don't feel like I've met this exact person before. And that was
right.
really nice, right? Especially as a woman. I think it was great to see a slightly different kind of athlete. So it's clear that she cares very deeply about this, but it's also clear that she has chosen to put it aside. But it's also
Mm,
clear, another clear thing is that she's not happy with her life as it is. She would like to
mm.
be more than or different than wife and mother,
Nice. Okay.
which I think a lot of women deal with, right? It's not that you necessarily want to be the CEO of blah, 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 but you want to have more to your identity than these two things, which are the things that everybody hangs their coat for you on,
Hmm.
right? Or these
Right.
two pegs in
The
your head.
labels.
Yeah, and the film actually opens with her and her husband asleep in bed, and in her sleep she's kicking him really hard. So you see, like this is a contestant by nature.
Right.
Her nature is that she's competitive,
Yeah.
um, and that's really very funny. So
Nice.
I really liked this film. I think you could watch it with your own mom. You could watch it with
Right.
whatever age, kids, totally kid appropriate, I would say. Like it's a charming thing. Um, it was very interesting to see some of the Kabaddi championship matches and stuff because of all the other countries who play. So like Iran plays kabaddi, South
Oh, really?
Korea plays kabaddi. So I didn't know this, and so those
Okay.
obviously are places where there's not a huge Indian diaspora, for example. So
Right.
like yes, Britain, U.S. they have teams, but it's big deal in various parts of the widest net of Asia.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so like there's a Pan Asian Games where they play, for example. So that's really interesting because I did not know that about kabaddi.
I
I
didn't
thought
know
it was
that.
purely South Asia and not any
Yeah.
further. So that
That's
was
what I
that was
thought.
really interesting. And according to our friend Wikipedia, it is the third most watched sport in India. Now, I don't know if that means on TV or overall, like in person as
It
well,
might
but
mean like at a local level or
that's
something.
still high, I would
Yeah.
think. So I also, as someone who I have watched kabaddi before, like my first trip to India was as an educator, so I got taken to a lot of schools. So we went to a girls' school in Punjab and they did a kabaddi demo for us. So that was my
Nice.
first exposure to it. But when you don't know much about a sport, a movie about that focuses on that sport can be a very rough slog. But I thought they did a nice job of not too much kabaddi. And I can imagine if you do know about it, there wasn't enough. But as an outsider, I thought it was a good amount. And you see Kangana doing things, but it's not it all was convincing to me for what that's worth. Like, if you know more, you will have other things to say, I'm sure. But I thought there were some great shots of her doing things. And obviously, this is a high contact, pretty brutal sport. It sure
Yeah.
looks to me. So, like, she's on the mat being piled on by five other athletes and
Mhm.
like trying to reach the line and stuff like that. So like it was cool. I think there's a lot of amazing choreography going on. Richa Chadha is always fun, so it's good to see her. Nina Gupta plays Kangana's
Oh,
mom. She's not in it a whole lot, but that could have been
doesn't matter.
anybody. She's
Mm.
fine, but whatever. Um, so yeah, I think this is a nice, gentle but engaging watch, and I recommend it. I again am not super sure why she got a national award for it. I don't know
Right.
if being a member of the BJP has something to do with that. um, it apparently was given in conjunction with her doing money. Um, Rani, Queen of Jhansi,
Mm.
which I have also seen but don't remember very well. Kangana is fierce warrior. That tracks, sure, of course.
Yeah.
you know, so yeah, I
My
guess
cousin
so.
actually watched Panga and she said it's like a really sweet and wholesome
Yeah,
movie.
oh, very wholesome. And I don't know, did it win that like most wholesome entertainment thing? Because I can see how it could have.
Yeah.
Apparently, it did not win that, but it could have, I think. She got even nominated for filmfares for it, a filmfare for Best Actress for it. And I think by 2021, she was, you know, with the
Yeah.
filmfare crowd, I would think. So you know, um, yeah. So anyway, she is someone that award givers love for whatever
Yeah.
reason. And she's 39. And
Wow.
she's already got four national awards.
Right.
So by the time she was 35, she had four national awards. And that's
Yeah.
like Shabana Azmi territory, right?
Right.
So, and is she a Shabana Azmi? No, she is not.
No.
But she is a puzzle. She's a puzzle, this one.
Yeah.
And of course, we can't talk about her without saying a little bit about Queen. That's the
Mm.
career defining performance. We rewatched it. It stood up, or I did. It stood up
Yeah.
really, really well. No complaints. She's phenomenal. I don't know
That's the
who else
gold
could have done
standard
it.
movie.
That's her gold standard movie. There were moments in these three films I was watching, so especially fashion, because it is so kind of it wants to be outrageous, but in fact it's actually tepid.
Yeah.
But there were moments there I'm like in different hands, and had she made some slightly different choices, could she be like this generation's Rekha?
Right.
Like I kind of think she could because she can also do soft and gentle,
Mm-hmm.
right? But she can also be incredibly fiery and fierce, like in moments of Rangoon, like in moments
Right.
of the John C. film, like in
Mhm.
Queen, even she has moments of
Yeah.
being very fierce. So, and in this, Kabaddi film where she's just an athlete, and I can only imagine how I do want to see the two biopics where she plays politicians. I think
Right.
that's very
I actually
interesting.
wanted to see the Jayalalitha movie, but I saw these two and then I ran out of time.
Yeah.
I think part of Kangna's appeal, because I remember watching Queen. I mean, I'd seen her earlier movies where she was like a new starlet that no one knew
Hmm.
much about, but like Gangster and all of that. I
Hmm.
remember liking her a lot. And then, but like not like she made some huge impact on me. And then Queen, of course, was like, oh my God, who is this person? Um, I think Kangna burst on the scene where not many people were doing what she was capable of doing. There were a lot of established heroines at that point, but they were slowly starting to like not matter that much anymore. Like she came after the Ranis and the Kajols, you know?
Right. And
And so
before Alia.
exactly.
So there's
So
this like whoop.
Right. Like if you look at her competition at the time, she really didn't have a lot of competition. And Priyanka was a heroine right before her, but
Oh
Priyanka at the
yeah.
beginning of her career was doing a lot of those like Dharmesh Darshan movies with like Akshay Kumar and stuff where she was basically wasted. She was just a
Yeah.
pretty face. She was cast because she was Miss India, right?
Yeah.
Or Miss World or whatever. Like whether Priyanka could act or not was a big question mark at that point. I think it's when she started doing things like Saat Khun Maaf and stuff that
Hmm.
people were like, oh, okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So I think when Kangna came, I remember thinking of her as such a breath of fresh air because people were tiring of those like NRI love stories, which
Sure.
I always think of Kajal when I think of NRI love stories and like, the whole Dharma Kejo thing. People were getting a little tired of Rani. And Prinka hadn't really proven herself. Bebo was still doing stuff, but Bebo has always been polarizing. And like, I think Bebo is a wonderful actor, but there's plenty of people that cannot
And she'd
stand
been around for
Karina.
a few years by
And
that
she
point,
had been
right?
around too. Bebo debuted in 2000.
Yeah.
So
So
she had already, like chronologically, she may not be that much older than Kangna. I think Kareena Kapoor is 45. So she's like, but like in movie years, that's a lot.
yeah. And
She was her
Gangster came out in
senior.
2006. That's her first film.
Right.
So
So I think Kangna kind of burst on the scene at a really good time.
mm,
And she kind of like showed the potential that people like Chitrangada had, but didn't
hmm.
actually like Chitrangada had all this potential that she came in like Hazara Khwaishe Aise and then she just like disappeared. Um, and so Kangna actually was doing amazing roles. She was working with like the Butts at first. Then she, like Mohit Suri, Raz 2 it's a Vishesh Films production. So she was doing that stuff. And I also think that it had been a while since we had seen someone that sprightly and sparkly and spunky and all of those things because so many of the 90s heroines, such as my beloved Ishwara, were just these very conventional beauties and models and just kind of like dainty. Like you can't imagine Ishwara doing a kabaddi movie, you know.
No, no, you can't.
Absolutely not. Like she would,
No,
she's not going to break her nail.
that's exactly
Um,
what I thought too. That exact expression. Sorry, Ashwarya.
Exactly. So it's like, she came and she was doing things that no one else was doing. And honestly, she felt like such a breath of fresh air. Like here was a person that was willing to put on a Haryanvi accent. Here was a
Hmm.
person who was willing to pay someone who's rough around the edges. She even sounds rough around the edges because even when she speaks English or Hindi, you can tell this is not a person who went to like a convent educated school or someone who
Mm.
studied in an English medium schools. She very much in the early years of her career, especially, sounds like someone who came from a small town, right?
Yeah.
And so there was sort of like this rawness to her and an unpredictability that I think was attractive. You never knew what Kangana Ranaut was going to do
Yeah,
roles wise or what she was going to say, but there was something attractive about that
sure.
because everyone else was so like, again, I use my beloved Ishwara as an example, so diplomatic, so politically correct, so poised, so Miss India, right? And then Rani, same thing. It's like Bebo was always like a little bit mufat, as we like to say, but Bebo is also stupid. Sorry, no offense to Bebo fans. I love Bebo, but the woman is not exactly the sharpest knife in the drawer. Like, I'm sorry. Like, she's entertaining, but I don't pay attention to what Bebo says. Um, and then Kajol is just a loudmouth. So then when
Mm.
Kangna would come and take like these, which she would poke at like the establishment and she would say things about Karan Johar, people would be like, oh God. But also they were like, more please. She said the things that so many people thought and didn't say. And I thought that Coffee with Karan episode where he was just taking jab and jab and jab at her and she hit back, honestly, that was a great moment. I loved it. I
Yeah.
was like, you go, girl. Because how many seasons at that point had we seen
Right.
Karan Johar, punch down, patronize, speak rudely? He asked Rakhi Sawant on an episode, so how much plastic surgery have you done? So what about your body is fake? He's not going to ask that to an Nepo baby. He's never going to ask that to any of his buddies, you know?
Mm.
And no one ever had the balls to kind of take him on. And this was the first time that someone was actually doing it. And I was just like, oh my God. And I feel like people have this newfound respect for her because it was something so scrappy and something so underdogish. And even the things she said, it's like, I feel like everyone knew those things, but no one ever verbalized them, or
Mm,
no one had ever validated it. Like, she talked about how she would go to parties and people would scoff at her for not being able to speak fluent English,
mm,
or they would scoff at her accent. And there have been actresses such as Sonam Kapoor who have very openly taken jabs at her in media, and they are able to do that because they're Nepo babies. So there's so much. I mean, Bebo does that. Bebo called Bipasha Basu a Kali Billi. Bipasha Basu can't hit back, right? There's
right.
definitely this like bullying thing that they have. They have these cliques, but none of the outsiders ever talked about it. And all of the Nepo babies were the bullies who would do all of that stuff. And it was very much like high school, except on a
Wow.
professional level. And this is the first time that someone had the cojones to like fight back and call a spade a spade. And I think she won so much admiration for that, because it was like, you go girl, that's right, let your performances speak for themselves, instead
Hmm.
of kowtowing to these people. And I feel like it validated a lot of people. So there was definitely that time when I feel like there was so much affection for her, and there was such a feeling of like, here's this new kid on the block who does unusual interesting things, that kind of, I think, gave people a rosy view of her acting capabilities. And
Mm,
I'm not saying she's not a good actor. I do think she's a good actor.
hmm.
Do I think she's Shabana Azmi? No. Do I think she's Smita Patel? No. I don't even think she's a tabu, you know but
Mm,
I think sometimes a person is, you're kind of rooting for them, and because you're rooting for them, you ascribe perhaps more talent than
mm,
they have.
yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people did, including myself. Having said that, I never really thought she was ever in like the tabu league or anything. But it felt good to support her until she started unraveling. And then it was like, what is going
And we
on
haven't even,
here?
I mean, and I only sort of know the cursorily know the beats of some of her personal life
Yeah.
stuff, but obviously Aditya Pancholi, just
Yes.
awful
Mahesh Bhatt
situation. Mahesh Bhatt is an awful situation. And then whatever did or didn't happen with Hrithik
with Ritik.
Roshan, like that, like I don't even know what to think is true.
Yeah.
But she has suffered.
Her sister was the victim of an acid
I
attack.
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
I think she's gone through a lot of trauma. And
yeah.
I do think that the industry has treated her abysmally.
Yeah.
And I think all the Nepo people very much circled their wagons against her and definitely ostracized her for saying things that they felt she shouldn't.
I was,
Because the non-Nepo people just don't talk about this shit. Like, how badly was Zeenat Aman treated, and she's never said a
right,
word against Sanjay Khan. She wouldn't. They
right.
were powerful, right? And she's
Yeah.
Zeenat Aman. She's not a nobody,
Yeah.
but she still hasn't said anything against them. And I remember Kangana Ranaut talking about, because Mahesh Bhatt was saying all these nice things about Alia in the media because, of course, she's his daughter. And Kangana Ranaut was like, oh, that's rich. This is a man who threw a chappal at me during the shooting of Gangster because he thought I should take another take. No one says this shit. But when
Mm,
I heard that, it was like, what? And she actually said that she had to give a take, and Mahesh Bhatt didn't like the way she said her dialogue, whatever. He took his flip flop off and he threw it at her head. And she
oh
couldn't even
God.
walk out of the film because she was a nobody. How do you walk out
Right.
of a Mahesh Bhatt film? You don't do that. You will get blacklisted. So when I hear about these things that she said, I don't think she's lying. I don't think she has a reason to lie. And it's Mahesh Bhatt. The man is
Yeah.
sleazy and disgusting, and I can believe her. So I do think that there's a lot of trauma she's gone through. Adhya Saman, by the way, with whom she did Rust too, Shekhar Saman mounted this massive PR operation against Kangana Ranaut for a time, where he claimed that Adhya Saman's, this is very entertaining. According to him, Adhya Saman did not become a big star because Kangana Ranaut did black magic on him.
Oh,
Yes,
as one does.
as one does. Like, he, like, literally, there are interviews you can Google. I was like, Shekhar Saman, are you insane? Clearly he is. He basically claimed that because Kangna trapped Adhyayan Saman, because he's such a prize catch, she trapped him, and then when he wouldn't marry her because she wasn't good enough for the Sumans, because they want a better bahu, all these air quotations are necessary.
Hmm.
She apparently, get this, mixed her menstrual blood with some food that she fed to Adhyayan Saman in order to control him. and to hasten the demise of his career. I was like, y'all be batshit crazy. I don't
That
think
makes
she's
no
crazy. I
sense.
think you are. Yes. But these are the kind of people
Right.
you're surrounded by. I
Yeah.
don't know how you wouldn't be a lunatic. If
Right.
like
Right.
like reading it makes me want to barf.
Yeah. I was, I didn't leave myself enough time to do this, but it occurred to me, oh, I don't think she's starred with any of the cons, has she? And she
No.
has not. So it was reminding me of some of the things we've said about the Pasha Basu, for example, who like never quite made, she
Hmm.
maybe like A minus list, but like,
Yeah.
was she A list? If so, not for super long. And I feel like
Hmm.
Kangana has the same thing. So like
Yeah.
Shahid and Saf are probably in Rangoon are like the biggest co-stars she's ever had, right? Other than
Hmm.
Ritik in, you know,
Kites or whatever it
Kites, and
was.
then
The
Krish
Krish, one of the
3,
Krish movies.
which,
Yeah.
she's not the star of anyway. But
Yeah.
um uh
I mean, she's never had hit pairings, and I don't think it's because she's not a good actor. I think it's because she doesn't kiss ass.
yeah,
You know, the Khans want to star with Nepos, and the Khans want to star with people who will not eclipse them on screen. And Kangna is going to eclipse a Salman because she has 10 times the
well,
talent
yeah.
he does.
Yeah.
But they want, I mean, even my Shah Rukh, whom I love, is guilty of this. They're stars and they want people who are compliant. And that is one thing Kangna has never been. This is part of
Yeah,
the reason why it's so hard for me to like hate Kangana, because there's so much, I feel like so many of her grievances are real and valid, and so
absolutely.
much
Yeah,
of the bullying that she has gone through. She has been the victim of so much elitism. She has been the victim of so much misogyny. She has been like, she's being treated so poorly, and she's not the first person to have been
right.
treated poorly, but she's the first person to speak out about it,
Yeah.
and for that she deserves kudos. But everyone in this whole Nepo world is guilty of that.
Yeah.
Perhaps the only person who potentially maybe didn't treat her badly was the Roshans, who cast her in Krish, but then that's really murky and weird also.
Hmm.
um I don't like, yeah, I think she's been treated very, very badly by a
Yeah.
lot of people. And it sounds like literally from her childhood, even like her families know,
Mm.
she's talked about how her parents desperately wanted a son and they didn't want either Kangna or her sister Rangoli, and about how they were denied so many of the opportunities, the birthdays weren't celebrated. And I'm like,
Mm.
have you ever heard that proverb? The child who does not get the love of the village burns the village, or something of that nature.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I think it's a little like that. Like, I think she has this hunger and this thirst for validation
Mm.
that she has never received, and I think she's a fighter, and when people try to put her down, she fights against them. And I think there's a reason she gravitates towards these roles. She's so good in roles like a warrior or like an athlete, and
Yeah.
because athletes do the same thing, like she has this like martial kind of energy in her, where she's never going to play the dukhiari ma who's like crying in one corner wearing her white sari and like bemoaning
Mm.
her fate. She's always going to be the person who's going to like set fire to someone's house. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of her. I don't think I'm capable of like hating Kangna, but
Oh,
I also,
no.
yeah, but I also don't have social media. So a lot of the really heinous and horrible things she
Yeah.
says, I am very much insulated from, because I don't have Twitter.
Right.
So, and I don't follow her on like anything. So whatever I know is like a little
Because
capsule. But also
again,
I
from
know
the,
she says horrible things.
yeah, the little bits that I have read, like even the BJP is like censoring her over stuff, and you're like, how
Yeah.
awful do you have to be?
Yeah.
Oh boy. So,
Yeah.
is she a person who's going to fight against anything all the time, right? And
Yes.
maybe she is. Not that
Yes.
we should armchair analyze or
Yeah.
anything. We should not, but her public persona is very combative.
It's
And
very combative.
based on what is known, there are a lot of good reasons why that might be, very understandable reasons why that might be true. It's also fair for people to be like, I don't want to work with that.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's
I
valid.
mean, like, she's a celebrity, and so this would never happen. But like, in theory, would I ever want her to come as a guest on this podcast? No. It
Right.
would give me like, it would make me nervous. I would be
Right.
like, how many times is she going to yell at us, Beth? Like, that's okay. I don't want her on my podcast. It's
Right.
fine.
Right. I also would like to salute her amazing curly hair.
Oh
She
yeah.
is one of our Preeti Zinta, Sanya Malhotra curly babies that I at
Yeah.
least love. And that's one of the things I really love in fashion is her curls are,
Oh, gangster too.
wild and free gangster, as Tanu, at least in the
Hmm.
second movie. I don't remember the first movie very well. So love that for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind
Does
of a symbol, right? Like, she's so
yeah.
often the curly haired are forced to straighten and flatten and whatever else. And
Yeah.
it's fun to see her with them free.
Tapsi Pannu, I think sometimes also has like the really curly
Oh,
hair,
yes,
right?
that's right. And I love Topsy Panic. So,
Yeah, Tapsi Pannu too. Because I mean, there's so few of the tight
mm-hmm,
curled
mm-hmm,
heroines in Bollywood. I think that was
mm-hmm.
one of the most iconic things about her actually when she came into the film industry, like with Gangster and stuff.
Yeah,
She has worn some crazy wigs in Raz too, probably because she plays a model.
yeah.
But she actually carries them off, which was shocking to me because those wigs are hideous. Yeah, she does fashions really well. I think she has a really good sense of fashion in real life
Mhm.
also. Like I like her looks. Um, what about why do you I don't even know how to phrase this. It's like I have so many thoughts. What are your thoughts about Kangna? Like do you think she's just a terrible human, or do you think there's trauma there, or do you think she is an attention seeker and so she says things, or
Yes,
she
yes,
just
and
wants to
yes. I
burn
think it's
everything
all of the
down?
above,
It's all
right?
of the stuff.
I think,
Yeah.
from what I can see where I'm sitting, which is not everything,
Yeah.
um, I think she makes a lot of bad choices. I think it certainly seems like she's had trauma in her life quite a bit. She's been treated miserably by the film industry, despite her
Hmm.
talent.
Hmm.
And as you said, she's not the only person for whom that's true, but it is true. Um,
Hmm.
she's had a lot of powerful men in particular be really horrible to her, abusive of
Yeah.
her, right? And she persists, which I
Hmm.
have to admire her for.
Yeah.
Politically, I don't agree with her, and I want her to, I mean, people punched down at her, and now she's punching down at, so like, but hurt people, kind of
Hmm.
thing, which is not an excuse. Um, but you know, it'll be interesting to see if as she ages, like she's almost 40, like what will she
Hmm.
do as she ages out of heroin roles and like taking on Indira Gandhi, I think is a great idea, right?
Hmm.
Like that's a great role to take on when you are a middle-aged person.
Yeah.
So it'd be fun to see more of those. I didn't see the movie where she's what is it, an Air Force pilot or a helicopter pilot or something. Like she's got one of those I haven't seen.
I think it's
We
called
were
Tejas,
yeah, we were talking
maybe.
about a poster for a film where she's like on the poster with two machine guns blazing. Neither of us wanted to watch that, but like,
Yeah.
sure, go for
Yeah.
it. So I'm certainly, I was about to say I'm interested to see what she does next. I am, now that I've reminded myself, because as we were talking before we hit record about how many of these films we were like, oh yeah, that exists, and like Punga is quite right up my alley, and I really enjoyed it, but I didn't even know it was there. So, I'm clearly not paying attention. But I should pay more attention because she does really interesting things. But then again with the politics, part of me is like, I don't want to give her any attention, but do I? But does it make a difference? I don't know. Like I don't know. Like maybe I wouldn't watch her film in the
I
theater and give it my box office money, but I would watch it on streaming later. Like I don't know.
I think her movies also just don't get marketed. Like
There's
this
that.
Tejas movie, I saw one like poster of it somewhere. I've never seen a promo of it, even a trailer. This the movie that you were telling me about, Dhakad. I only remembered after I googled it when you talked about the
Right.
machine guns. I was like, wait, what movie is this?
And that's the one with
So
Arjun Rampal, right? And where you're
I think
like,
so. Yeah,
that's another pairing where you're like, Mahat, she's gonna chew him up and spit him
yeah,
out, which okay, fine, go. But also
yeah.
that does not necessarily make for a great film.
No. No, I think like a lot of these movies, I don't know who's producing them, but they just like fly under the radar and they don't get marketed enough and then no one watches them. And it's hard enough to get Indian audiences to go watch a movie when an actress is like
Yeah.
headlining it, that's
Yeah.
hard enough.
Yeah.
But then when you don't even know what it's about, and it's just difficult, right?
Yeah.
But I think with her talent, I wish she would work with, and maybe there's a reason that she hasn't. Maybe she's just that difficult to work with.
Maybe.
I wish that she could work with Vishal Bharadwaj. I wish she could work with
Mm.
Anurag Kashyap. I doubt they will work with her,
Oh, Kashyap would
but
be interesting. And if there's gossip there that we're not remembering or whatever, maybe that's
well,
part
he's
of it.
supposed to
But
be terrible to work with also.
mm,
So two
I can imagine
divas.
her being great in one of his works.
I think that if you give the Kangna is edgy. She's just
Yeah.
an edgy person. She's a
Yeah.
very geometric, angular person. Like she has that combative personality.
Hmm.
I think if you give her like a really meaty role and it's like a really strong movie and it's an edgy movie and it's not a movie that's like trying to sugarcoat stuff, I think she could be so good in it. Imagine her in something dystopian. Imagine her
Yeah.
in something apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Imagine like she
Or
could be so
noir,
cool.
like some kind of
Yes.
noirish thing would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, or like horror, but not like the Mohit Suri horror, but like something really good horror. Like I think she could do such a good job in those films, and there are some very edgy filmmakers that she could work with and do something great. And she's a producer. Use your money, girl. Use
Yeah.
your money. Produce something that is worthy of your acting talent and get that story written. Produce it. Anushka Sharma as a producer is very, very good. I think Kangna could do that too, and maybe she's on her way to doing that with the Indira Gandhi movie and the Jayalalitha movie or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, do those kind of things if the industry or if the Nepo people don't want to give you a chance, or maybe you've burned too many bridges with people, or people are rightfully so wary of you.
Uh-huh.
Um, Make your own opportunities. You have a production house. You seem to potentially, possibly have some goodwill from people. It doesn't have to be a big movie. You can do a
Right.
small movie with like a good script, do something in, but no, you don't want to do something, you just want to complain, then I'm not going to support you. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Yeah. So, what ice cream flavor is she?
you know Gola, right? Like
Yes.
Gola.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
she's Gola. And sorry, the USPS mailman is here. My dog thinks that the mailman should not be here, even though our mailman is very nice and gives her biscuits every time he comes. But
Oh.
my dog is like, "How dare you? This is my street." It's so weird. My dog is usually so nice and social, and we've gone on a 2-hour walk today and played fetch for 30 minutes, and she has been very combative during the recording. I think the spirit of Kangna has entered my house.
Daffodil
I
is
might,
Kangana's spirit
yeah,
animal.
I might find some like curly hairs in some corner. Now I'm starting to sound like Shekhar Suman. But so I think she's Kala Khatta. Kala
Mm,
Khatta is that very sour, bitter, but punchy, but also spicy flavor. Like you eat it and you immediately make that like face. And when we were little, my cousin and I hated it. It was always the adults who got Kala Khatta, and
sure.
we always got raspberry, which is
Yeah, yeah.
just the Indian version of
Red.
raspberry. I think she's Kala Khatta. I think you do that and you pucker up, but it's also like something interesting. I mean, love her or hate her, you can't ignore her. I will never call Kangna vanilla.
No, she's never
That is
boring.
not something she is.
No.
So I would say she's Kala Khatta.
I
What
also
about you?
have, yeah, I don't have an actual assigned flavor, but sour was the thing that I was thinking about. So I was trying to think of an ice cream that is sour. There must be some kind of like Sour Patch Kids ice cream out there
Mm,
somewhere. So yeah, or like, is there a tamarind ice cream?
there has to be. I'm sure in
Yeah,
India there
so
is.
something like that.
Yeah.
And I kind of got to that because I was thinking again about the from the Mexican ice cream shops that I've been to that have the like spice ripples, the chili ripples or the chili and sour sauce on top or tart. So
Yeah.
I don't think she's a grapefruit sorbet because that's a little too
Zingy.
um pale
Mm,
or something. Like it's a pale in my head it's a pale color. I know grapefruits are not necessarily pale, but like
right.
there's something just sorbet is made with water. So like she's not made
Yeah.
with water.
No.
She is made with sterner stuff. So I feel that yeah, some kind of ice cream with a sour
Gumption.
ripple or tamarind something would be in there. And
Yeah.
I'm not coming up with a good example because this is not a flavor I would ever order. I do not like Sour
Right.
Patch Kids, for example. I don't like sour
Yeah.
candy, but I think that that is an aggressive combative flavor, but for a lot of people, they love it. They seek it out. They
Maybe
want it very much. So
maybe she's hard lemonade. Like
that's right.
maybe
We
she's
have a
hard
bar at
lemonade.
our ice cream
Yeah,
stand.
basically, with like very
She's a
big
lemon
lashings
drop.
of alcohol. Yeah. But yeah, I hope that she gets the help she needs.
Mhm.
I mean that in the kindest of ways. I do think that therapy would help.
Yeah, because like any
Um,
one of the things on her, when you kind of read the list of things that have happened to her or that she has been involved in, you're like, any one of those would merit therapy. So
yeah.
like all of them. And in the public eye also so much of the time, like, oh, I hope, yeah, that would be, I hope for
Yeah.
her that she has that.
Yeah. But also it feels so sad to me. Like imagine being someone who is smart and who has spirit and who has like a fighting spirit and gumption, and you're using your combativeness to just like flail around. Like with her
Yeah.
charisma, with her star power, she could actually do so much good. Like can you imagine that fire being used for something good? She could be awesome. Like you
Like
feel so
imagine her
strongly.
as a teacher and she
Yeah.
like battles for those kids,
Right.
like
Or like an ambassador for like female literacy. I mean,
right.
she talks about her how her parents mourned her birth because they
Mm,
wanted a son so badly. Do something about that. Like do some
yeah.
advocacy where you talk about in a country that has such high um
Hmm.
female infanticide rates.
Hmm.
Do something, use your voice for it. She is such a
Hmm.
good speaker. Like if you listen to some of her old interviews, like her
Mm,
Apki Adalat interviews and stuff, she has a good command over the Hindi language and she speaks in a way that you want to listen to her.
mm.
Use that and maybe educate people on women's empowerment. Maybe talk to women about the importance of being educated. Like can you imagine what a force she would be if she decided to take on any of these horrible, regressive cup panchayats that don't want women to get educated or get a job or whatever? Put
Oh,
Kangna in front of them. She would be awesome.
you're reminding me of how much fun she is in Revolver Ronnie. Have you seen
Oh,
that
haven't
film?
seen that.
So she plays, this was in the mid 2010s when there were all those like UP Bandit movies. She's the UP Bandit, basically. I mean, she's a princess type of, but she
Oh,
like kidnaps a Bollywood actor to make him her like lover kind of thing.
that
And
sounds
it's
very
it's really
Kangna to me.
funny. Yeah. It was right after Queen, if I recall, or somewhere in that. And so
Okay.
like this totally opposite thing where again she's got a gun and she's, a
Not
total,
afraid to use
total
it.
loose cannon. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So like, put her loose in front of those people. All those horrible old men. What was that quote I recently heard by Barack Obama? He said that, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said something to the effect of 90% of the problems in the world right now are old men clinging to power, which is so true. So
It's a little ironic for
unleash her.
someone who was president for 8 years, not just four, but okay.
But I love him.
Well,
But
sure,
like,
but like
but he's not clinging to power.
no, he left when he was legally required.
Yes.
A low bar, but here we are.
Yes. But yeah, it's like unleash her in front of those people. That would be awesome.
Right.
Like I would pay good money to see her
And
like
that's how I
take
feel about
on.
Reika too, right? Like this sort of like unleash the power, right?
She
But direct
can't.
it wisely, right?
She can't. She's wearing the GDP of a small country on her body with
True.
her gold jewelry.
The
It weighs her
Kangana is not
down,
so
Paris.
fettered.
No. Like I don't want to be the stallion that carries Rekha into battle because there's just too much gold there.
Right. You
And
need
she
two
would be
horses.
kidnapped by a bandit
She's
on the
in a
way.
cart pulled by two, a
Yes.
chariot. I mean, not the cart, a chariot.
The bandit who robs her of gold is probably Kangna, actually.
Ooh, I'd watch that.
That would be amazing. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's so much talent there. There's so much
Yeah.
potential there. How about we divert that to like constructive, good, useful, wonderful, positive things and like, stop with the nonsense and, stop with the punching down and
Oof.
like, do something productive and awesome. I think that would be great.
Do something productive and awesome is good advice for us all.
Also, I know that you were talking about Richa Chadha, and I did not want to interrupt you, but I just have to take this opportunity to quote my favorite Richa Chadha dialogue of all time, which
Ah,
I use often and unironically. And that
oh.
is from Oi Lucky Lucky Oi, where she says, "On Tuesdays, I'm vegetable." Someone offers her chicken and she says, no, on Tuesdays I'm vegetable. So yes, I
I
am a
too.
vegetarian. And when I'm offered non-veg at like a party, I also do say, no thanks, on Tuesdays I'm vegetable. Even if it's not a Tuesday, and even if the person in question is American and has no idea what I'm talking about, and they go, huh? And then they're like, oh, it's just Pitu being Pitu. Let's just ignore that
You just like,
statement.
it's culture. I will ask no more questions. It's culture.
You would not get it. It's fine.
Maybe I'll say that all day tomorrow. I won't do the
Say it.
accent, but tomorrow's
No, you
Tuesday,
have to.
so
You must. You must. You have to be a vegetable. Can you imagine like a Bollywood party? I desperately want to have a Bollywood party with all of our Bollywood blogger friends, and we have to dress up as our favorite character, and we only have to talk in Bollywood dialogues. That would be amazing. Or like a game where you say a dialogue and the other person has to guess what you are. That would be so good.
Fortunately, the Bollywood ice cream shop is vegetable.
It is so good. It is very vegetable on all days.
All days is vegetable.
Yes. Okay. Did you have anything? Oh,
Yes, I have one more thing to say, which is
okay.
not related to Kangana in any way, if that's okay.
That's fine. I just went on a Richard Chadda rant and like not rant, but like appreciation, and that has nothing to do with this either.
I, over the weekend, finally got to watch a film that I have been wanting to watch for over a decade, but I had never been able to find. Now, I
Okay.
did watch it without subtitles, but it
Oh
is the
dear.
Doordarshan Sandip Ray Feluda film starring
Oh,
Shashi Kapoor as Feluda. It is on
that's
YouTube. It, I think,
amazing.
is a transfer from VHS because it's very staticky and all in parts. Kisa Kathmandu mein. I enjoyed it. Amrita and I
Okay.
watched it. We did a watch along. Shashi is in it. Paul Dutt is in it.
Okay.
Um, Baby Pankaj Kapoor is in it. Iftikhar is in it very briefly.
Okay. Is he a
It's
cop?
no,
Is he righteous?
yes,
Okay. Good.
yes.
At
Uh,
least 1 out of 2 if the car conditions have been met.
Moon Moon Sen makes a brief appearance. Like it is it the best Sundip Ray film I've ever seen? Maybe, but most of it I enjoyed very much. And towards the end, I was like, oh, Shashi's kind of leaning into like upright Hindi film cop here in a way that I don't think suits the vibe. And I've never read any of the Feludas, I have to admit, but I watch a lot of them. But so I have some opinion, but not a particularly informed one. But I was really enjoying it overall. And like seeing Kathmandu was beautiful. They're clearly filming there and everything. So that was really cool. But that is on YouTube. If anyone is interested, you'll find it. And if you would like to watch that, you should. It was
And
enjoyable.
I'm sure it's a better print than the Fauji print we saw.
It's about like that. It's
Oh,
bad.
it's that bad?
It's pretty bad.
Okay. Because I didn't think there could be a worse print than the Fauji
It's
print.
yeah, it's pretty bad. I'd have to watch Fauji again to compare it directly, but it's pretty bad.
Okay.
That's
Perfect.
all.
I think that wraps up our
Yes.
Kangna episode. So tell us, guys, what do you think about her? Tell us what you think about her as an actress, and tell us what you think about her public persona. And
Is
then what
she a
are your?
superstar?
I I kind of don't think so.
She's interesting to talk about for sure. So I'm very pleased that we have done that. We may have
Yeah,
filed it in the wrong category, but it was fun to talk about
potentially.
her. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for watching, and we will see you next week. And don't be vegetable. Be a nice, normal, positive human. Bye.